Hi, everyone. On the sports clock, it is my honor to have on my next guest, close mentor, the interim athletics director of Missouri State University, a university that I just think so much of. I've graduated from Mo State, Wichita State, Loyola, Chicago, but Missouri State means so much, and it's because of kind of where I got my start. And it's one person who had a big hand in that. I'm visiting with Casey Hunt. Casey, how are you?
Good. Thanks, Tyler, for having me. And I look forward to our chat here today and excited about to talk about Missouri State.
Absolutely. And big thing I got to ask, Conference USA move. How's that going?
Yeah, so we're just sitting right now. Technically, we still have another year in the Valley, and then July 1 of 2025, we'll look to kick it off to Conference USA. But as you know, prepping has already started, and we'll see how that rocks and rolls. But we're looking to do a big kickoff and do some countdowns as we turn the new year here and get ready for Conference USA, and trying to still be respectful to the Valley, as they've been very good to us for the last couple of decades, and want to be respectful to them as we go through the upcoming year.
And so with that, how does your role change in terms of the move? Have you seen an increase in I mean, obviously increase in duties, but is it one of those things where it's more on your plate, like, hey, I've got a more transition to Conference USA, or is it just trying to not burn bridges with the Valley and just keeping on? How's that all been?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any more responsibilities. I mean, obviously you got to prep, right? So you got to look at marketing plans and what's going to be the big kickoff, and how are you going to get the local community, the campus community, and our fans excited, students excited about Conference USA, and what does that look like? So, your marketing strategies probably is the biggest thing that has come forward of what we're going to do. Certainly got to get into those different cities with Conference USA, and what can we do for our alumni in those areas. So, getting coaches out, getting caravans with our alumni foundation, all those things are going to take part in that. So I wouldn't say really an increase in job responsibilities, just preparation. That involves a little bit more than just athletics. You've got to involve the campus community, the alumni association, and what does that look like for our big kickoff as we make that move to Conference USA.
Absolutely. And the other thing too is I've got to ask about, there was a coaching change made over the offseason with Conzo Martin coming back to Missouri State, which I've had many conversations I'm very excited about. How was that? I think about the coaching changes being made, and now this conference move, has that changed a lot of what's going on, or is it just business as usual in terms of the coaching world?
Yeah, I think it's business as usual. I think if anything, it'll enhance us for recruiting, right? Because you're going from FCS to FBS. But I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of unknowns right now, given the House settlement that's out there, and the roster limits that have been proposed. So, for example, if you look at Ohio State and they got a roster of 120 football players and they're only allowed to have 105, right? Where are those other 15 student athletes going? So I think us folks and folks below us, right, they're the ones that are going to benefit, because you're going to start seeing, I think, in my opinion, more parity across the board with those roster limits. So I think if anything, I think it's really enhanced our footprint and our ability to recruit better student athletes, quality student athletes at the FBS level, because I think there's more opportunity and people are excited, right? When you mention FBS versus FCS, right there, I think student athletes look at that a little bit more as, hey, I'm playing at a higher level than if you're playing at the Valley level. And no disrespect to the Valley, but that's just the concept of what the student athletes are. We see that currently now when we're recruiting, a top student athlete, and it comes down to us in Iowa State. And, those are the things the kids are making it to go to Iowa State, because they could play at the big time. They could play at the FBS level. We'll be on a parallel scale with those guys now. So I think if anything, it's helped us.
Absolutely. And just kind of reminiscing now, I see your background, the pool at Hammond Student Center. I used to dive in there many times, and just I think where Missouri State's been, where it's going, it's just like I said, I love that university. It's what got me my start. But what have you seen in the last 10 to 15 years that's changed the most in terms of not just athletics, but I think about the recreation center, the upgrades and all that. It just a lot's changed, but I still feel that I don't know, when I walk by the quad, it's just there's still that original feeling too. So
I'm not so sure too many people would know what the quad is nowadays. Campus has really changed. Obviously, I've been here for 22 years, and the tennis courts are gone. You got a rec center right there. You got the renovation of all the academia buildings that is going in. You got the Roy Blunt Center. Temple Hall isn't going to be Temple Hall anymore. All the fields have been built for us, which, kind of the northwest side of campus kind of has become an athletic complex, so to speak, with the exception of Plaster Stadium. And so a lot of good things from the facility perspective, but even from the academia side of things, we've been put on the map. We have the relationship with China. We're getting ready to get into Spain and do some different things with the student population. Obviously, the business college is in the top 500 of companies and what we're doing over there, and that was renovated, and you could do live trading right in there. So there's a lot of different things that have happened from the academic side too, that has really propelled us as a university.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see. I just, like I said, I love that university. It's got me my start. I know I text you all the time, and I'm like, I know I drive you nuts sometimes, or it's like, but I just care because that's what got me my start, and it's special place. So I want to talk about too, kind of your background, how you got to where you are. That's kind of the purpose of my show is let's talk about career progression. So for New Jersey too, like you used to work, I think it was like 10, 11 miles from where I live here in Carteret, and it was the headquarters of the conference you worked at. So I guess kind of talk to me about how you got started and how you got to where you are.
Yeah, so played basketball in undergraduate school at St. Bonaventure University. Ended up going through an NCAA investigation up there, which really piqued my interest in the compliance world. After graduating from St. Bonaventure and playing 4 years of college basketball up there, I went to University of Connecticut to get my master's degree in sports administration / education, and had a great opportunity back in the mid 90s to watch the Rebecca Lobo years and the Ray Allen years at Connecticut, which was awesome. So I did a dual graduate assistantship. So I worked part-time for the athletic department and part-time for the rec department. And then after that, I couldn't get into the business. I said, okay, here we go. So I did a volunteer, internship, fellowship, whatever you want to call it, at Syracuse University for 6 months. I trained my bank account. I worked, catering at night, anything I could do, but I wanted to get more experience and hands-on. So I worked in their compliance department for a good 6 months. Still couldn't get a job. Went back home, worked for Sallie Mae, which is a student loan company. Yeah. I applied to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference 3 times. So on the third go around, I'll never forget when I got the call from Barbara Church, who was a senior associate commissioner at the time, and basically said, you've been very persistent. You've applied for this job 3 times. Why do you want to do a fellowship at the conference office? And at that time, I was able to answer the questions that I needed to answer, and she gave me the opportunity of a lifetime, and had a great opportunity to live in Amboy, New Jersey, and worked in
Sorry, I'm laughing because it's just I hear Amboy, it's like right here.
Yeah. So and obviously the conference office was over in Edison, which was I think 10 miles away or something, and the train was still there, so we were able to get the train to go right into the World Trade Center in New York City. So you can only imagine what life was like, and you're experiencing that now being so close to the city. So great opportunity at the MAC conference, and was there 2 years, and then had my first real job finally in the business at Coastal Carolina University. Was a compliance coordinator, and then went up to an assistant AD, and you can only imagine at Coastal Carolina, it was simply 3,000 people. It was for 3,000 students. It was down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It was Division I, but very small Division I. So we pretty much did everything and anything, everything from ticket sales to equipment to setup, takedown, you name it. We all did it down there. We had a great group of individuals working. And then I had a great opportunity to come out here to Southwest Missouri State back in 2003. And I turned down Darlene Bailey, I think 3 or 4 times before I finally came out for an interview. And before I even got back, I accepted the job, and here I am west of the Mississippi, and been here now just started my 22nd year, and started in compliance. I was over in compliance for 5 years, or 3.5. I'm sorry, 3.5 years, and then compliance and senior women's administrator because Darlene left. So I was here playing dual role for 2 years, and then finally Bill Rowe promoted me to the senior women's administrator job, assistant AD, and then just continued to propel up. When Kyle Motes took over, he decided to make me an associate AD for internal operations and kind of geared me to do all the day-to-day operations. And then that just has propelled with his tenure here. And currently, as you know, I'm the senior associate AD, SWA, and serving as the interim athletic director role. So been very fortunate to be where I'm at. Been very fortunate to work for people who recognize my strengths and the opportunities that they've given me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about, like I said, you've been a close mentor of mine and someone I, look up to. And I know I text you all the time about this is what's going on in New Jersey, but what would you say, Casey, is the favorite part of your job and the hardest part of your job?
Favorite part is hard, right? Because I think I probably got to say dual, right? You want the student athletes to be successful, and it's always fun to watch them walk across the stage and graduate and get a degree and go out and be successful, right? So you always have to have that at the forefront. The other exciting part is obviously, winning, right? Winning 10 championships 2 years ago is amazing. At our level, and what we do and the resources we have to be that successful in that many sport programs, you couldn't ask for anything else. And then lastly is the people. Now, granted, it's changed tremendously, right? Even campus wide, but overall, I think the people here are generally good people. They want to help. They've been very supportive, and so those are probably the top three. The hardest part of the job is you gotta balance, and you gotta know people. So relationship building is very important. How I talk to one coach is not how I need to address another coach. Saying no is never easy, and sometimes I'm the bad cop in the department, right? So those aren't always the easiest decisions to make. So those aren't always the fun part of the job. So you got to learn to balance. You got to be able to be creative on how you address coaches, student athletes. I mean, I always talk. I literally got over 600 people to manage, and that's very different because I could yell at one person. I don't have to yell at another person. I gotta, hand walk somebody somewhere and those kinds of things. And you just got to know how to handle people. So over time, I mean, you learn those skills, but it's a continual growth pattern.
Yeah, and the last two questions here. First, so you came to Missouri State, you said 22 years ago, so that would have been right through or right about the 2003 College World Series team. So can you kind of share any stories from that team? I know because I was with baseball, so I know some stories, but just from your perspective, what was that like coming into Missouri State's going to the College World Series, or I guess back then it was SMS. But.
Yeah, so this is an interesting conversation. So I literally started April 1. They had just gotten selected to go to, or just made it to the College World Series, and guess who they were playing? Coastal Carolina University. So yes, it became very interesting. So we obviously went to the Ohio State first, and then we played Coastal to make it to the College World Series, which was very, very interesting. But you have great stories with that, right? Because it's like, who do you root for? Well, I got to root for my current employer, but I just worked for somebody for 5 years who gave me an opportunity of a lifetime. So just a lot of fun. That group of individuals was very fun. Certainly very unique in their own way. And a lot of those people right now are very successful, and they have come back to support us and continue to come back for Alumni Day. And it's always great to see them and reminisce about the good old days and the College World Series days and what they've accomplished during that time frame. And I'm hoping that Joey Hawkins could get us back up there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think about what Joey's, Keith, I had Keith on my show a couple weeks, Keith Gooden, former head coach, for listeners who haven't followed, but we're going to do a reunion in January or February of the 2015 team, which I was part of. And I'll never forget, Keith asked me, he goes, would you want to be a part of the team as our first video coordinator? This was 2014, and we had a shitty year in 2014, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm coming back or not, and then we came back and 2015 happened. So it's just that program, like I said, means so much to me and how I got my start, but it's going through that. And then basketball is what got me my start. And, the 2010, 2011 team, Conzo's last year, winning the conference championship, I felt part of that team, even though I was a senior in high school. And that's what kind of propelled me into being a manager. And it's fun reminiscing, but there's a lot of wins that have meant a lot to a lot of people,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so appreciate you being on the show, Casey. And like I said, last thing, football's coming up. What's your take?
As you know, the Valley is a very difficult conference. I think we're looking good. Ryan has brought in, and his team have brought in a lot of good transfers. So I'm pretty excited. As you know, defense wins games, or at least in my opinion, defense wins games. So we got to be strong on the defensive side. I think, with our returning quarterback and Clark, and I think he's going to do some good things. And we got some good people in place with some returners, and then you fill in with the transfers. And I'm optimistic. We'll see how we rock and roll for the upcoming season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back to Springfield and seeing football, basketball. Obviously I'll be back for the 2015 reunion. So it's great things going on there at Missouri State. Appreciate all you do for the university and all you've done for me and my family and my brothers. Hayden and Jeremy wanted me to make sure you said hello and all that. You've been great to us, so appreciate it. And go Bears.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Hello to the family. And as always, go Bears.
Yep. Casey Hunt, Interim Athletic Director, Missouri State University.